today we'll mainly see type conversion and typecasting. So far we have understood how to create a variable, what are the basic operation we have to do with list, tuple, dictionary, set, right? So today we'll see how we can convert one type of data to another type of data. And to do that, there are two methods. One is implicit typecasting, another is explicit typecasting. So to start with, what exactly is implicit typecasting or type conversion is? In implicit conversions, the Python automatically converts one data type to another data type. Okay, and this process doesn't need any user involvement. So for example, you have defined a variable, let's say int, and there's another variable you have defined float. And if you perform some arithmetic operation between these two variables, let's say you want to add a variable 10 with 15.5. Okay, so the output you're gonna get is 25.5. So here Python automatically it will promote your integer variable as floating variable, and it will compute the operation that you have asked Python to do. Now let us see how Python is doing that. Here I am defining an variable num int and I'm storing an integer value, right? 1, 2, 3. Then I'm defining a float variable. In that I'm storing 1.23. Okay. And if I have to add these two variable content, I'll simply do num int plus num float. Okay. And if I'll print the output, if I have to print the output, here I'm printing the output. You'll see that the summation of these two would be a floating value. Okay, which is 124.23. So the takeaway from this is whenever you perform any kind of operation between an integer variable and floating variable, then the integer variable is promoted to floating variable and then the computation takes place. And the resultant output will be floating type, right? Why this is happening? Because Python do not want that you lose any kind of information, right? What will happen if it will not typecast, if it will not promote your integer variable into floating variable, what will happen? Then it will simply drop this floating part, it will add 123 plus 1 and it will give you 124, right? You'll not be getting those floating variables. That means you're losing some information, right? So Python knows this thing. It is really smart and intelligent programming language. It knows that if will not typecast, if will not promote this integer variable into floating variable, you're gonna miss some of the important information. That is why it will promote first of all this integer variable, and then it will perform the addition, right? So here you need not to do anything from your end. Python will take care of this by its own. Okay, so this is called implicit typecasting or implicit conversion. Is it clear? Now let us look another example. Here, what is happening? I'm defining another variable num int, and there I'm defined a number 1, 2, 3. I'm defining another variable num string, and there I have defined a string, right? Don't get confused by just looking at 4, 5, 6. This is between inverted quote. That means what? This is a string. This is not numeric. This is string. Now what will happen if I try to add this integer with this string, then Python won't be able to convert this as integer or float and perform some calculation that you have asked to do so. So what will happen in that case? It will give an error, right? It will give you an error, type error. It will say that unsupported operands. That means Python cannot add an integer with a string by its own, right? So here implicit typecasting will fail. In this particular case, you have to do explicit typecasting. What do you mean by explicit typecasting? Here you have to come ahead and say that first of all I need to convert this string variable into integer variable and then perform my addition, right? So that is called explicit casting, where you as a user explicitly mention that I want this string variable to be converted as integer and then perform the addition between num int and num str and give the output. And how do we do that? We first of all, again, that same example. Here again, I have defined a numerical variable num int. I have defined a string variable num str. And now what I am doing here is, first of all, I'm checking the type of these two variable. And yesterday I told you to check the type of any variable. What do? We just type this keyword type. Inside the parenthesis, we put the variable name. So this print statement will say that this particular variable is of type int. This particular print statement, it will say that this variable is of type str. Why is it str? Because this is within the double quote. Okay. Now this is a place where I'm doing explicit typecasting. How I am doing it? I am saying that please convert this string variable into integer by putting a keyword int in front of it. Okay, so the system will understand that though it is a string variable, but the user is wanting it to be converted as numerical. It will convert this string variable into numerical one, and then it will perform the operation. You can check it by yourself also. The moment you have done this typecasting, just check its data type, right? How do we check the data type? Print type within the bracket, put the name of variable. It will say that now this has become int, because you have explicitly typecasted. Now it has become int. Now there won't be any problem adding these two variable, because they both are of same type, right? And you can easily perform their summation. Here you'll see that 456 plus 123, 579, and that final output type is int only. Is it clear? Any doubt on this concept?
No. So you mean to say that if you don't mention if it is explicit, it will give you an error,
Yes.
and we have to add two data types in explicit typecasting, then you get the result.
Yes, yes. For some calculation, for some operations, the Python is intelligent enough, it will understand that this is a place where it has to go for typecasting. It will do by its own and it will give you a result. For example, if I try to add this 10 plus 10.5, right? So I'm adding a integer with a floating variable, right? So although these two constants, these two values are having different data type, but Python will understand that, right? And it will do by its own. You'll see the output is a 20.5. Here you did not to do anything from your end. The Python itself will understand, it will do the typecasting, because this is fairly straightforward. But if the same thing, if I do like this, then it becomes difficult for Python to understand, right? First of all, Python will get confused that are you really want to add this integer with string variable, because it doesn't make sense, right? So in this case, you have to explicitly mention that first of all, you convert this string into integer and then add. Here you'll see the output as 20. Sorry, this float. Got it? Any doubt on this?
No.
Okay. So there are few important things that we should remember when we are doing a typecasting. The first is type conversion is the conversion of object from one data type to another data type. Just now we saw. in implicit typecasting, integer is getting converted to float. In explicit typecasting, we convert a string into float or integer also, right? The second is implicit type conversion is automatically performed by Python interpreter, right? Implicit typecasting is automatically done by Python. We did not do anything from our side. Python avoid this implicit type conversions to prevent the loss of data, right? So just now we saw that why do the Python does implicit typecasting, because if it will not do, you might lose some data. That's why it upgrade your integer value as float and then perform its addition with float variable. Explicit type conversion is also called typecasting, and the data type of objects are converted using predefined functions by user. Just now we have seen this point. To do the explicit typecasting, we had to use explicitly the keyword int, right? And in typecasting, the loss of data may occur as we enforce the object to specific data type. Clear? Now let's look the different concept. Okay, if you don't have any question and doubt, then we'll move to the next part of the lecture, that is Python input and output and import. Okay, so we have already covered this topic in a way in our previous lectures, but still let's see what are the things that we have here. So first of all, when we talk about Python input and output, right? So for output, you have already seen that we are having a function print, and it prints whatever things that we give to it in your screen, right? For example, if I want to give an input like this sentence is output to the screen, it will just simply print that, right? But there may be situations in your programming exercise where you want to mix this print with your some variable. For example, there is a variable, let's say a, and in that variable you have stored an element 5, and you want to tell your user that this particular variable is storing 5. How do we combine our variables with print statement? Simply you just need to mention the string, the value of a is, and then comma and the name of your variable. You'll see that the value of a is 5 because a is storing 5, right? One thing to take care here is you have to close this parenthesis first. After comma, you have to add the name of your variable. If you'll put this variable name within quote, it will just treat it as a string and it will not put the value of that variable, right? By default, in the print function, you know, these comma, if you'll do a print, it will be treated as an empty space, because if you'll dissect this print functions by looking at its documentation, this is a bit deep concept. Let me know if you're not able to understand in this part, right? So if you'll open the documentation of print function, you'll see that there's an argument which says SEP is equal to quote, and in that quote there's an empty space. That means what? Just separate the element of print functions by an empty space. So that is the reason when you'll do this print 1, 2, 3, and 4, you'll see that it gets printed as 1 empty space, 2 empty space, 3 empty space, 4, because the separator function is empty space. However, you can change it also. If you want your element to be separated by some another character, you just need to pass that as your argument. Here the separator is passed as asterisk, so all the elements will be separated by asterisk. Clear? Similarly, if I want to separate it by hashtag, I can do by with hashtag. Is it clear? Now let's see how we can print some complex instruction by combining simple string with the variable, right? So I have defined here a variable x which is equal to 5, variable y which is equal to 10, right? And I have written this string, the value of x is curly braces and y is curly braces dot format x comma y. So what are these curly braces? These are called placeholders, right? And this format dot format functions or method, what it does, it places the value of your variable into these placeholder. So here if I'll write dot format x comma y, it will place the value of x here, it will place the value of y here, and that is the reason you see the output as the value of x is 5 and y is 10. Right? You can change the sequence also. So for example, if I have to write a sentence like I love this parenthesis and again parenthesis, and the value which I want to put into those parentheses or placeholder is bread and butter, right? So I can sequence also. So this zero, by putting this 0 and 1, so what does it say? That whatever element which is there in this position, it will go to your first parenthesis, right? I mean, in other way, this placeholder will place the value which is in the first in the sequence. So you'll see that bread is in the first sequence, right? So here you'll bread will come here, butter is in the first place, so it will come to this position. However, I can interchange the position of this bread and butter also, right? So here I'll mention that please give me the value which is having the index 1. The value which is having index 1 is what? Butter. Here it is having index 0, it is having index 1. So here butter will come, in this position bread will go, because I am explicitly saying that I want in this place the element which is having the index 0. So bread is having the index 0, it will come to this position. Is it making sense to you? Any question?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good to go ahead?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So now we can further make it a bit more complicated, right? So here, let's say I want to greet someone, right? By putting his name and greeting word in a sentence. So what I can do is like I'll just write hello, again this parenthesis. So this parenthesis is always a placeholder, right? Parenthesis comma parenthesis, and in format I'll put the names which I want to put in that placeholder. So here I'm having good morning in a variable greeting, John in the variable name, and here instead of defining the index, I'm just directly defining the variable name. So what I'm saying is, please give me the value of variable name. What is the value of variable name? John. John will come here. Here I'm saying that please give me the value of variable greeting. Greeting is storing what? Good morning. So good morning will come here. Clear? Now this is the another way of doing the same thing, and personally I don't encourage this particular technique for printing the things with variable in it. because this might be confusing for few people as a reader. But if you are from C or C++ background, probably this is the representation you might like. Okay. So here what I'm doing is, again, I'm creating a variable X, and in that variable I'm storing some floating value. Okay. And then if I have to print this variable in a sentence, what I'm doing is, I'm just doing percentile X, right? Which is saying that put the value of X in this particular position, because here I'm also putting percentage in front of it, right? But here you'll see that 2 after decimal. This means what? It is saying that you just take the 2 precision value after decimal. So instead of this entire float value getting printed, only we are printing 3.12.3 point. That means what? The rest other values are got truncated as per the instruction as we have given here. You are saying that only print 2 digit after decimal. Same goes on for this particular line also. Here we are saying that please keep the 4 digit after decimal. Okay. Personally, what I follow in my program, in my code is, I really like this convention, because I feel like this is easy, and easy to write and easy to read also. It clearly says that this particular variable, it should go to which index, which position. So from reader standpoint of view, this is more intuitive. But yeah, you have all these choices, and you can pick any of these of your understanding, right? So far we have seen the different ways of printing something in your screen, right? By combining your string that you want to print along with some variable. Now next thing come is, how do we take input from user, right? Now so far whatever program that we have developed, it is all having it is, yeah, it is all printing only, and whatever variable that we have defined, it is taking that as a base. But it would be even good if we can take that input from user, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's how it is.
yes, so for
Ashtar,
that. Mhm.
if you scroll up, like what is the purpose of writing 3 percentile 3.4f? What is 3 here?
Yes, yep. I was about to come to this part after covering this one, because there again it will get clear, but still, yeah, I can give a heads up on this. See, you understand what is 4 here? 0.4. 0.4 means it is saying that I want the number till, I mean, I want the 4 digit after decimal, right? Here 3.3. 3 means what? 3 means it says that after your sentence is getting completed, should how much the length it should leave as a white space. For example, let's say that if I make it as 10, right? It is initializing the kernel. Yeah. See, you saw the gap increased.
Oh,
If
yeah, yes.
I make it 20, the gap will further increase.
Okay.
So
So
it is
it
just
is, the gap is in percentage or something.
no, not in percentage. This percentage is just a symbolic representation, which says that this particular value should go here. Okay. And this 3 is deciding what should be
How do
the,
we know like what percent we have to go give to get it? So we have not learned about it.
yeah. So normally if you'll see, most of the people use at least 3 three white space after your sentence. So this 3 is a kind of standard number, but yeah, you can do it your own hit and trial thing. Like instead of 3, you can put 4, 5 as per your choice. But this 3 is,
It is for spacing.
Mhm.
Is it for spacing?
Yes, it is for spacing only. I just showed now. If I'll increase this to, let's say, 20, the spacing will increase.
Okay. We can speak. What if we skip that part? If you don't do spacing at all?
You are saying like this. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that, but see, if you'll do that, it will take some its predefined argument. But it's good if, like, see here, if I don't want the floating point at all, right? So here I'll just print the integer part of it. Okay, but as per the convention, there
Not
are
about the not about the decimals I'm asking, but
Mhm.
it does the decimal has to follow with that
Yes,
percentage 3.
yes,
Like if you skip that percentage 3, would it not print? I mean,
it will print, but how your system will understand that this x value should be printed here? Let me show you.
Okay.
Right, it will not understand that this variable x value has to go here, right? So that is the reason this print this percentage is required. This percentage is saying that this particular value, this particular variable value should go here.
Yeah.
And what is the
Earlier programming languages we have used \n, right, for space.
backslash n is not for space. Backslash n is for new line operator.
Okay, new line, yeah. And what is that space?
For space, we are having tab, backslash tab.
Tab.
Yes.
So we are not using that in here.
No, we are not using that here. If you want to keep a one tab space, then instead of 3, you can put like 5 here, because I think 5 is equivalent to one tab space, right? So let me try if there is a tab allowed here or not. This, yep, tab is also allowed. So you can use tab also, but it's just that you need to know its escape sequence. So this is a escape sequence for tab, right? You can do this way also, but this is relatively more simple because this is giving you a more level of customization. You can decide what is the level of precision you want to keep, how much spacing you want to have. If I'll do backslash n, Python will be on one line, programming will be on another line, because this is a new line operator. See?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's see the input. How do we take input from user, right? So for that, we are having another inbuilt function, like the way we are having print function, which is known as the output function. We have another function in Python called input, right, which takes input from user. So here, what I'm doing is I'm defining a variable num, and I'm defining the function input, which will take input from user and store that input into variable num. So if I do this, it will ask me to give some input from my side. Let's say I do 2021, right? It will store this input into num variable, and it will print that num. Now, one thing here you always remember, and this is a very important thing, whatever thing that you will give from user point, it will be storing it as a string variable, right? So if you want to add something directly into it, you won't be able to do it. You have to do typecasting, because whatever you are giving, it is storing it as a string. You have to convert that into integer, and then you can perform all your mathematical operation that you want to do. Here you can check also. Here you see that if you do type num, it will give string as its type, right? If you are sure that the user has to give only integer number as input, you can mention it explicitly here also, so that whatever your user will give, it will automatically convert as int, and it will be stored in your num variable. For example, if I give now 60, you'll see that now the type is int, right? You can do float also. So that means whatever user is giving, it is converting it as float. You see, yeah, float. Okay, so this is the way we take input from user. Okay, now there's another keyword in Python called eval, right? And this eval, I mean, it's not really useful. I personally, I haven't come across situations where I am using this eval, but what this eval do is, whatever you are giving within the code, if you are giving some number within the code and putting some operator, it will just perform that operation for you, right? So if you do eval to I mean, within code 2 plus, it will give you 5, but if you simply do this, it will not give you 2 plus 5. It will not give you any input. I mean, it will give an error, because not error here. What happens is, instead of printing 7, what it did is, it simply pasted this two things together. Why? Because it is not number, it is string, right? So the point which I'm trying to make here is, in Python, the operation that you want to perform, it depends upon the data type, right? These are the two data, right? If these two data are integer, and if I perform addition operation, it will add 2 plus 5 7. But if these two value are string, and if I perform the addition operation into it, it will just simply paste those two characters together, right? So be very much cautious. Make sure that whatever operation you are trying to perform, you're putting those operations with correct data type, because just now we have seen what can it happen when you perform similar operations with different data type. Let's try to complicate this a little bit more. You have defined a list. Let's say that I have defined a list which is storing a value 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 5. Okay, now if you want to multiply these elements with some scalar value, let's say you want to multiply it with 10, you did something like this, right? But it will not give you the output that you are looking for. It will not simply give you an element multiplied by 10. Let me show you that also. What it will do is, like instead of 10, let's do it 3. See, what it did is, it just replicated the element of list 3 times, right? Because list does not support this kind of element wise multiplication, right? If at all you want to do this, if at all you want to multiply each of the element by a scalar value, you have to convert this list into array first, numpy array first, and then if you will do this, it will give you the result that you want. See. Now you will see that, sorry, first of all I have to import this package, because I haven't imported anywhere. Understood? Now it has multiplied each of the element by that particular scalar value. But when you perform the same operation with another data type that was list, it just simply replicated the element 3 times, right? So that is the reason I'm again giving emphasize. Make sure that whatever operation that you're performing with correct data type. Otherwise, though it will not give you an error, but the output it will be giving you, it will be not as per your uh, like desired output. Is it clear? Okay. Now let's see Python import. So we have already imported a lot of packages by now. We have seen how to import NumPy. Just now we did import NumPy, right? So we'll not invest much time on this. Simply to import a package, right? You just need to do import and the name of that package, right? So if I want to import a package math, I'll just do import math, right? And if I want to use any of its functionality, I'll do math.py. That means what? I'm asking that from math package, give me the value of pi. So it has displayed me this one. So this is a one way of importing a package, right? The other way of importing packages, if you want to directly import this Python function from math library, you can do this like way also. From math import pi, and then directly print the value of pi. Here you need not to define math.py because you have already told that your system that I want pi from my math library, and you can directly print the value of pi. Right? So what is so both the approaches having its advantage and disadvantage, right? The advantage of this technique is, because when we are printing like math.py, we know that this pi is coming from math package, right? So if you are trying to build a very complicated system where you have to import a lot of library, if you follow this convention, you'll always know that whatever function that you are using, it is coming from this particular library. Like here, this pi is coming from math library. So that knowledge you'll always have, right? The drawback with this technique is still you have to write math all the time whenever you want to use this pi functionality, right? So it makes a little bit code more verbose, but it give you a better understanding, better comprehension. Whereas this particular technique keeps your code clean and provides user better readability. Okay, so we'll stop for today now. We have less than 1 minute, right? I'll immediately spin another bridge. I'll give you a link on the group. If you have any doubt, you can join that link and we can have a discussion there. Okay. Okay. I think then
Yeah, sure.
I'll paste that link immediately after this call in the group, and you can join that.